The WNBA was in shock. No one saw this coming. Aja Wilson, one of the league's brightest stars, suspended. But why? What led to this moment? This wasn't just about a regular on-court altercation. This was about something much deeper. Word of Aja's suspension spread like wildfire, leaving fans, players, and the entire league in disbelief. The reason? A racially charged confrontation with Caitlin Clark. Now, this wasn't just any rivalry. This was personal, fueled by tension that had been simmering for months. So what really happened between Aja and Caitlin? Was this the inevitable result of personal animosity or something far more complex? At the heart of this controversy is a rivalry that was never just about the game. Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark were both stars, but as Caitlin's star began to rise, the balance shifted. Aja, a veteran of the league, had been dominating for years. She had earned her place as one of the WNBA's brightest lights. But suddenly, a younger, fresher face was taking center stage. It was Caitlin Clark's time, and she was soaking up the spotlight. Her performances were electrifying, and she was quickly becoming the face of the league. Media attention, fan adoration, sponsorships, it all seemed to revolve around her. For Aja, who had worked tirelessly to reach the top, watching Caitlin rise so quickly wasn't just frustrating, it was infuriating. This wasn't just another rivalry, this was a power struggle. What started as competitive tension soon became personal animosity. The tipping point came during a heated game where a confrontation between Aja and Caitlin exploded into something far bigger than anyone anticipated. The argument wasn't just about a foul or a bad play, it went deeper. Race, privilege, and power dynamics suddenly entered the conversation, and it became clear that this was about far more than basketball. Aja's frustration boiled over, and in a moment of anger, she crossed a line that couldn't be ignored. Her actions on the court, fueled by months of pent-up resentment, led to her suspension. And now, the world was watching, waiting to see what would happen next. As news of the confrontation spread, the reactions were swift and divided. On one side, you had fans who sympathized with Aja, understanding her frustration. After all, she had been a star in the league for years, and now a younger player was taking the spotlight. But on the other side, there were Caitlin's supporters, fans who admired her talent, her grace on the court, and who didn't see this as a matter of privilege. But here's the twist. Some of Caitlin Clark's most vocal supporters weren't who you'd expect. They weren't the typical crowd you'd associate with this kind of situation. Surprisingly, a large portion of Caitlin's fan base included Black men. That's right, Black male fans who recognized her talent and saw something in her game that transcended race. This unexpected demographic only added fuel to the fire. Aja's anger wasn't just about Caitlin's rise. It was about how her rise was perceived. To Aja, Caitlin's success wasn't earned, it was given, a product of privilege. But Caitlin's supporters didn't see it that way. They saw pure talent. So was this about race, or was it something else? As the dust settled, Aja's words painted a clear picture of her frustration. She didn't hold back. In her mind, Caitlin Clark represented something more than just a rival on the court. She represented a system that seemed to favor certain players over others. Aja's comments made one thing clear. She felt overlooked, undervalued, and overshadowed. For years, Aja had been a force to be reckoned with, a dominant player who had earned her spot through hard work and dedication. But now, with Caitlin's rise, it felt as though all that was being erased. And that's where the real pain came from. But was this all in Aja's head, or was she right to feel this way? Was the system truly rigged against her, or was this just the pressure of competition getting the best of her? One thing's for sure, Aja's actions that day were driven by more than just frustration on the court. It was about something much deeper. While Aja's frustration boiled over, Caitlin Clark remained composed. Her response? Pure class. She didn't lash out. She didn't feed into the drama. Instead, Caitlin focused on what mattered most, the game. In her mind, the WNBA was a league built on respect, and every player, regardless of their background, deserved that respect. Caitlin wasn't interested in racial debates or personal attacks. She wanted to keep the focus on basketball and ensure that every player, including Aja, was treated fairly. It would have been easy for Caitlin to hit back, to let the racial tension surrounding her name affect her game. But she didn't. she rose above it, showing a level of maturity that many didn't expect. And in doing so, Caitlin won the respect of fans and players alike. But here's the question. Was Caitlin's grace enough to mend the growing divide within the league? Or was Aja's outburst a sign of a deeper issue that couldn't be ignored? The WNBA had to act. The league was at a crossroads, and they knew it. Suspending Aja Wilson was no small decision. She was, after all, one of their biggest stars. But the league had a message to send. No player, no matter how important, was above the game. Behavior like this wouldn't be tolerated. But this decision didn't come without controversy. Some argued that the WNBA was wrong to suspend Aja, that they were being too harsh. Others saw it as a necessary step to preserve the integrity of the league. The question remains, did the WNBA make the right call? Was this the only way to handle the situation? Or could there have been another solution? One thing is clear, the suspension sent shockwaves through the league and left everyone wondering what would happen next. As the suspension took effect, the WNBA found itself in a precarious position. On one hand, the league was finally getting the attention it had been craving for years, largely thanks to Caitlin Clark's rising star. But on the other hand, players like Aja Wilson felt marginalized, pushed aside as the league shifted its focus. The tension within the league was palpable. Players were divided, fans were divided, and the media couldn't get enough of it. The WNBA had finally found the spotlight, but at what cost? Could the league move forward without addressing the underlying issues that had come to the surface? Or would this moment mark the beginning of a deeper rift within the sport? So where does the WNBA go from here? Aja Wilson's suspension was a wake-up call for the league. It forced everyone to take a hard look at the issues of race, privilege, and competition that had been bubbling beneath the surface for years. But this story isn't over. Aja Wilson has a choice to make. Will she learn from this experience, reflect on her actions, and come back stronger? Or will this suspension mark the beginning of the end for one of the WNBA's biggest stars? And what about Caitlin Clark? Her rise to the top has been nothing short of extraordinary. But can she continue to thrive in a league that's so divided? Will her talent be enough to unite the WNBA, or will the rift continue to grow? One thing's for sure, the WNBA is at a crossroads. The league has come so far, but there's still a long way to go. And as the WNBA continues to evolve, it's up to players like Aja Wilson and Caitlin Clark to shape the future of the sport. Let us know your thoughts on this controversy. Do you think the WNBA made the right call? Will Aja Wilson bounce back? And what does this mean for the future of the league? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Your support helps keep these important conversations going.